where uh, you know, like some really advanced law is created by the legislature and by the policy people, and very soon new technology comes and there is a new problem. It happens, right? Have you come across anything like that? And then another amendment is required or some change in the thing is required, right? That happens. You have experienced that, right? Yes, no, maybe. Can you think of any example? Okay, Evidence Act amended due to IT, information technology, all kind of information technology. Betting laws, GST law, very good. Section 65B, and many other such things, right? So laws are, so just to give you an example, IT Act, when it was created, there was a data protection rule. So the IT Act was in 2000, and then a data protection rule had to be created in 2008 because there was a lot of data that was being stolen, and the IT enabled ITS industry was demanding that we need to have some law in our country so that foreigners will do business with us. Yes, and that was a huge problem for a lot of people, a lot of businesses. In 2008, data protection rules were created, and now in the parliament there is a law pending which is for further data protection in a way, in a reaction to GDPR. Global, around the world, globally, there's a new kind of um awareness about privacy, a new kind of demand for privacy, and GDPR was a momentous law that was created by European Union, but it had impact across the world. It impacted Indian businesses also, and Indian businesses are now, when they're dealing with European data subjects, are following much stricter policies, right? But not so much in India. So in India, when we have our personal data protection law, when it becomes when again it comes into force, then of course we will see a big change, a lot of work happening there. So laws can never hope to win, but even whatever laws are created, now it is advanced law, but within a year or two, people will find out new ways to do new things and new technology will emerge, because of which even this law will become obsolete and new amendments will be required. Sometimes entire new legislations are required, right? So in this race, laws can never hope to win. There's always a race between technology and the regulation of the technology, but the regulation never wins. The technology always speeds ahead. The best the law can do, therefore, is try to follow technology as closely as possible, because technology will always go where our imagination has not reached yet. Okay, so even before you can imagine something, somebody is already in the process of doing some innovation in that area, and they are going to create some amazing technology which we have never thought about, right? Someone somewhere will think up a new technology that legislators have not thought of, right? In fact, they will see the legislation and think that, okay, what next, what new thing we can create, and they will create something new. This is because there is no limit to how much we can imagine and how many new things we can invent that then reshape how we live and how we interact with everything around us. So the law, therefore, is doomed in this race. It can never win. But technology, right, is always go farther and go ahead. But as lawyers, for the same reason, it's a good news that you get rich for this reason, that there will always be, gray areas in technology law. Regulation of emerging technology is a lawyer's paradise with lots of gray areas. Okay. Who benefits if there is a lot of gray areas in a law? Yes, no, maybe tell me in the chat. Constitutional lawyers benefit when there are gray areas. People who are working on legal tech, the regulation of legal technology. I'm going to tell you exactly who, but not constitutional lawyers so much. There are anyway very few constitutional lawyers and very few constitutional law matters. It's not like there are, hundreds and hundreds of constitutional law matters, right? So lots of loopholes, either missed out by legislation. So two ways loopholes get created, gray areas get created, either missed out by legislation or created by new technology. Okay, either the legislation is not doing as much as it should be doing and therefore falling behind. Or sometimes the law is so, the technology is so advanced that the law has not even contemplated it, and therefore there is a benefit to different people. So this is a huge opportunity, lot of loopholes in technology law all the time. Okay. There was a Stagecoach Act. I'm giving you an example that you might be able to relate to. There was a Stagecoach Act created during British era, right? Have you heard of this stagecoach? Do you know what is a stagecoach? Anybody knows what is a stagecoach? What is a stagecoach, guys? Anybody can guess? Rail. Usually stagecoaches were horse-drawn carriage. No, it can be a rail also, but it can usually were horse-drawn carriages. Many hundreds years back, what used to happen that it would be pulled by a horse. A stagecoach will be pulled by a horse, and it was like bus in a way. It will stop in many different places, and it has a fixed route. It will go according to a fixed route most of the time, and people will get up and get down at different places. Not very different from today's bus or minibuses, but they are the Stagecoach Act. Okay, so Stagecoach Act was created during the British era. Now, when have you followed the 𝗂𝗶𝗶𝗆 case, right? 𝗂𝗶𝗶𝗆 case, have you come across? What happened in 𝗂𝗶𝗶𝗆? So in many states like Bangalore and many cities, they wanted to stop 𝗂𝗶𝗶𝗆 from happening because they thought, we have not allowed this law. I mean, 𝗂𝗶𝗶𝗆 should take a license from the government before they operate this pool. Like taxi service is one thing, but pool is like you're picking up one person and then another person and then another person and constantly going round and round, picking people, and people are sharing this taxi. Is this legal? There was no law that actually prevents it. But they went and found one law from Stagecoach Act. Okay, so created in the British era. It was invoked to claim that 𝗂𝗶𝗶𝗆 was illegal. Okay, that because they said that you are doing what a stagecoach does, and the definition of stagecoach includes 𝗂𝗶𝗶𝗆, which is ridiculous, right? Now, but they did that, and this is a problem with that technology companies often face. Have you read about this? They're using the Telegraph Act to regulate the internet. Do you know about this? Okay, for example, telephone companies were also put under Telegraph Act. Telegraph Act was created in a time like 200 years back, I think, more than 200 years back. And so many times Telegraph Act was brought in to regulate mobile telephone, to regulate the internet. In fact, there is a provision in the Telegraph Act which BSNL claims benefit of. So you cannot file an arbitration against BSNL. Do you know why? Because of Telegraph Act. In Telegraph Act, there is such a provision which BSNL benefits from, and with BSNL, you cannot go to arbitration. Okay, so there are crazy things like this. So and things like this have been done. So technology companies have to be very careful. Now, this is bad news for tech companies, that when government does not have a proper law to regulate you, what will it do? It will look in a very old law and try to find something that somehow can be applied to you. Now, this is bad news for tech companies, yes, but for tech lawyers, it is great news, because for them, it is increasing the amount of work that is there, right? Even 𝗏𝗏 is saying even IPC and Evidence Act cannot cope up with modern crimes. But then what is the tendency? You want to take it and make it fall into some category or the other. In crime, it is still possible to take a existing definition and see if it fits into the new crime. And sometimes it will fit in. Sometimes it may not fit in fully, but sometimes it will fit in, right? So if you are creative, if you like to think out of box, if you have a bent for policy, advocacy, and research, want to work with most innovative companies around the world, regulation of emerging tech is your cup of tea. It's a very interesting area to work in. Okay, what kind of work do tech lawyers get to do? Can you guess what is the kind of work that you think that tech lawyers might be doing? Anyone can guess? Tell me, what do you think? Due diligence of cyber law transactions. What is a cyber law transaction? Okay, at least you tried. Anyone else? Keeping safe intellectual property. Oh, okay, no. TNC for apps, IP. No. We are talking about regulation of emerging technology. So I'm going to tell you, okay, we are not talking about any kind of tech work. We are talking about regulation of emerging technology, right? So it does not include contracts, by the way. So whenever a new technology emerges, and this is a very specific thing, we're talking about regulation of emerging technology. Remember, we're not talking about technology contract, which is a different area of work. We're not talking about cyber crimes or cyber security or those. It's a different thing. We're talking about regulation of emerging technology. That is the area of work. So whenever a new technology emerges, lawyers have to figure out if there is any regulation that already can apply, or something is already there which already applies, or something that government may seek to apply. You have to read the mind of the government. You have to see government policy. Is there something that they are going to apply even if it is not strictly falling into that category, right? So what will you do after that? It is a great idea at this step to engage with regulators. So at this step, many times you will go and engage with the regulator, if any, to see how to make things work out by sharing critical inputs. You get their feedback, you give them your feedback, you tell them that this is what you are trying to do, and this is important, or this is how to do it. So very good example is of 𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗃. So the founder of 𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗃 talks about how there were a lot of restrictions on how insurance could be sold. So the question was that, can you sell insurance online? Okay. So very good way of drone laws. So I'm going to talk about drone laws. Drone law is a very good example in India right now. There's a lot of work related to drone law already. So insurance tech, I want to give you an example. So there is this company called 𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗃. It's a multi-billion-dollar company today. It's a unicorn company. Okay. But this company was trying to sell insurance online in India, first one to do so. But there was a big problem that it was not allowed. It was not allowed. Okay. So one of the turning points for the founder, and he has told the story in front of me. He told one of the turning point for his company was, actually he was talking how he was going and talking to the insurance regulator, IRDA, right, all the time. And there was one, and they will not even want to meet with him. He will go and talk to one officer, another officer. Then he'll say, I don't have the power, go talk to that guy. And after a lot of time, one guy, he was going to vacate his office, but before he left, he actually allowed that online selling of insurance can be done. And that changed the fortune of this company, and they were able to raise a lot of money and go ahead and create a huge company, right? 1,000 crore, more than that company. And so if you see, how to make things work by sharing critical inputs, you have to engage with the regulator. A lot of time, this is the work. In that case, the founder was doing himself, but very often lawyers will be doing this. You have to prepare the company for compliances, if any, right? So if once you have regulation, or even if there is no regulation, or you think certain regulation may apply, you have to take a decision that, okay, this is the law that applies, and we need to do these regulations to protect us. Because if you don't do regulation, there may be penalties, there may be fines, there may be jail, there may be shutdown, many problems. So you have to prepare the company for compliances, if any. Now, so this is not the all. Next is that inform business models and decision makers regarding current regulations, government policy, regulatory risk, and imminent changes, if any. So there is, imagine inside your company, there are decision makers, there are people who are trying to take a decision that how do we do this business? Okay, should we launch in India? Should we launch abroad? Should we leave out certain countries? Should we leave out certain markets? Should we think of doing it in a different way. So how do we do it? What is the business model? What is the delivery model? How do we find customers? Everything depends on government policy, on regulation. So if you violate things, you might be in trouble. So you're trying to decide how to do this right so that we don't get into regulatory trouble. And you, like, whether to invest money, how much to invest, whether to go fast or to go slow, whether to be aggressive in, whatever, all of that decisions, it's very important. And there are lawyers who are giving advice on these things, and based on that, the decision is being taken by all the decision makers, like CEO, CFO, board of directors, everyone. They need this input to take a call. Okay, so examples of some of the emerging technology that has already created a lot of legal work in India. A very good example is fintech. Anybody here who knows what kind of work got created by fintech lawyers and what kind of fintech regulation? A lot of work got created in fintech regulation. Do you know what are the statutes? What are the rules, regulations? What kind of work? Anybody has any idea here? Anyone here? Tell me. Nobody's saying anything? All quiet? Fintech. So you guys know about financial startups delivering services regarding loans, Paytm, or sure, all of that. Now, fintech work, I'll explain to you. So, for example, fintech, who's the regulator for fintech? Who's the regulator? Which is the regulatory body for fintech companies? RBI, right? So RBI is the one, right? Now RBI, so is a fintech company like what kind of license do I need to operate fintech company? Let's say giving loans or whatever other financial services, maybe NBFC license. So either I have an NBFC license or I tie up with somebody who already has an NBFC license. And with those, I work to launch fintech companies, right? So obviously, so there is a whole thing that first there's a license requirement. I just cannot launch a fintech company. It depends. What is the fintech I'm going to do? Is it related to loan? Is it related to taking deposits from the public? Is it, what is exactly? Am I giving financial advice to people? What exactly I'm doing? And depending on that, there may be regulatory applications, and we have to decide which regulator applies. Sometimes even SEBI might have a say on certain fintech companies. So for example, if I'm running a online brokerage, or an app through which you can buy mutual funds, then not only RBI, but even SEBI might be relevant, and RBI may not be relevant for that, right? So you have to decide. So these people are there. Then there are certain statutes. So for example, there is a Payments and Settlement Act, and there are rules and regulations under that. And if you are somebody like Google Pay, or you are like Paytm, where basically you're enabling payments and payment gateway and cards, right? There are different kind of cards and all of that. So who gets to do that? And what is the regulation for that? Is Payment and Settlements Act. So there are these kind of rules and regulations that you need to follow. Now UPI also has been created. UPI, there's an act. There are rules and regulations under that as well. Right? Asset management, good. So there are all these fintech companies, and there is significant amount of regulations, usually either from RBI or from SEBI, that you have these fintech companies are managed. Now the fintech, I'll give you an idea of how much legal work that is there. The fintech market in India was valued at approx, right? 2,000 billion rupees. Okay, 2,000 billion. How many thousand crores is that? Okay, and is expected to reach. It is going to grow 3 times in 5 years, right? 3 times it's growing to 6,000 billion, expanding at a compound annual growth rate of 22%, 22.7% CAGR during this period, right? This next 5 years. So you can see that it is growing really, really fast. And as you can imagine that this is a highly legal sector. Okay, all fintech startups have a lot of lawyers. Lawyers are their important hires. So for example, if you're giving loan to the public, you are very worried that how are you going to recover the money. One of the part of your strategy is how are you going to be better at recovering money than even banks or NBFCs. How are you going to give loans strategically, all of that, right? So very, very important. This is an area where there's a lot of work. AI and big data are being used for enhancing personalized offerings. So you decide that who can be given certain loans, who should not be given loans based on big data. New business models like neobanks are expected to revolutionize the Indian fintech market. Even blockchain, by the way. So blockchain is a good example of financial technology, which is emerging. Cryptocurrencies is an emerging financial technology. Okay, and they are going to be there, and their regulation has to be figured out. It's not easy. Payments, lending, insure tech, wealth tech, and bank tech are the key operative segments within the fintech market. The payment segment comprises of m-wallets, PPIs. Okay, PPIs are prepaid payment instruments, prepaid payment instrument, PPIs, merchant payments, POS services. POS is payment or point of sales. Okay, point of sales is POS. POS services, international remittance, and trading in cryptocurrencies. So you can see there is a wide variety of work within fintech. The lending segment includes peer-to-peer lending, crowdfunding loans, online lenders, on-book lending by NBFCs, discounting. There's something called invoice discounting. That is also a format of loan, and credit scoring platforms. InsurTech is a niche segment in the Indian fintech ecosystem, consisting of insurance aggregators, IoT, wearable, and kinematics. Like you can imagine, this is InsurTech. Why IoT? For example, I wear a wristwatch, which is tracking how much I am active in a day, how much I walk, am I working out. And this data in China, for example, it's connected with insurance companies. And in India also, this is going to happen. India insurance companies are going to give you a much lower rate of money. I mean, much lower rate of premium. You have to pay less premium if you're an active person. If you're not active, they will track it. And if you're ready to wear this kind of devices, they'll help you. Okay, I mean, they'll give you less stuff like that. Okay. Policybazaar plans to do its IPO in 2021. I was telling you about Policybazaar. Wealth tech includes robo-advisors, discount brokers, online financial advisors. By the way, Policybazaar has a huge legal team, right? Because they need it. Wealth tech also all these are there. The principal function of the bank tech segment is to utilize data points like financial transactions and spending patterns to create risk profiles of consumers. In 2008 and 2019, the payment segment received the highest amount of venture capital investments, followed by the lending and insurtech segments. Wealth tech and bank tech are the emerging segments. These are the next, in the next few years, we'll see big growth. So that was fintech. So do you guys realize how big fintech is and how much work there is for lawyers? I'm happy to take any question at this point, by the way. If you have any questions about what kind of work lawyers do in fintech, I have told you how big and how fast growing this sector is. I'm happy to answer any questions. Then we'll jump into drones. That is another huge and amazing sector for emerging tech regulation. Anybody? Is your brain fried from all this jargon? How will it be post-COVID in fintech? So fintech has been one of the beneficiaries of COVID, right? Because people got afraid of using cash. They don't go outside. They have been ordering through e-commerce. They are using internet. So a lot of payments moved online automatically. People who used to do cash transactions preferring online payments suddenly, right? So massive changes have happened. From cryptocurrencies point of view also, we are seeing a lot of changes. For the first time, there have been certain acknowledgements in Indian government that, cryptocurrencies is probably good. Things are really going up. UPI payments went up like anything. What exactly do lawyers do in fintech companies. So as you realize, fintech is one of the most highly regulated sectors, right? So you, first of all, there is a lot of compliance work. So if you are running NBFC, if you're running a fintech company, so or if you're running an insurance technology company, there's a whole lot of compliances to do. So for if you're doing insurtech, you have to comply with all the IRDA rules, regulations, everything that is there, right? Apart from complying with all the other laws that as a large company you are supposed to comply with, you have all the compliances under company law, labor law, whatever laws are there. But especially you have sector specific regulation that is applicable to you as an insurance company or as a insurtech company. There are regulations mandated by IRDA. When you are selling insurance, for example, there are certain compliances you have to do. So compliances is a large amount of work. From the regulation point of view, a lot of work is policy related. So you are engaging with the government about new policy changes, because a bad policy from the government can wipe out your business, can really impact you. So you are always trying to stay ahead of the policy, understand where the policy is going, and your business model accordingly. You are always trying to predict and figure out and giving inputs to your business leaders that how the law is expected to change this way, the government policy is shifting that way or this way, and this is how we should plan our business. Okay, what are the challenges of working in these companies for a lawyer who has just passed out of college? The problem is you don't know any of this work, right? You don't know the regulations, you don't know how to do this compliance, none of that. So your problem is that you don't know and you have to learn. On the positive side is that if you learn these things, then getting a job is very easy, because very few people have this knowledge, right? They are not training themselves. You can become a thought leader, yes, right? You can become a thought leader by writing articles about this, educating people about these things, educating the business leaders. I'm not talking about common people, right? Educate the business leaders about change. Okay, so drones is another area where there's a lot of money, a lot of lawyers, making a lot of money from drone regulations. So let's jump into this. What is going on? Okay, India's commercial drone market is projected to grow at a CAGR of 12.4% during 2020 and 26. That's a lot of growth rate, by the way. Based on types, rotary blade drones dominated the Indian commercial drone market share in 2019, owing to its special advantage of vertical landing and takeoff. Okay, and there is a lot of regulations related to drones today. Like you need a license to fly commercial drones. You need to, for importing and exporting drones, for manufacturing drones, you need licenses. And there's a whole lot of work related to drones, right? So, if today I decide that I want to deliver people medicine in rural areas through drones, right? So I have to go and take a lot of the insurance. There's nothing to do with insurance. That was a typo. While making the PPT, they must have made a mistake. Nothing to do with insurance. Okay. So drones, the work related to drones is basically this. So let's imagine that I want to and basically I want to deliver people medicine in villages through drones. Okay, so I will need licenses, I will need so many clearances, the whole lot of things I have to work on before I can do that. Same thing, there are a lot of work related to drones. Anybody who wants to do. What is going on now? Back to this, let's open the slide on drones again. So drones are being used by companies in B2B and B2C segments for higher scope and investments. Skylark Drones is a Bangalore-based data analytics startup, has teamed up with Tata Steel to deploy drones at Tata's Noamundi iron ore mines in Jharkhand for compliance reporting and monitoring volumetric production. Okay, that's really interesting, right? Zomato, one of India's largest food tech firms, has acquired 𝗕𝘂𝗛𝗔 to deliver its promise of drone delivery in the country. New draft unmanned aircraft system rules were released in 2020, proposing to supersede the 2018 regulations. Use of drones raises various legal issues around authorizations under Indian rules, import-related clearances from DGFT, certificate of manufacture, privacy concerns, etc. This is a fluid and evolving space, expected to create a lot of work going forward for lawyers, of course, goes without saying. Let's take a look at telemedicine and health tech. So any idea about telemedicine and health tech? What kind of work may be there for lawyers? Do you guys have any idea? Tell me quickly. What do you think? Anyone in the chat? Nobody's saying anything. Medical prescriptions online and effects. Medicine, okay. What would be the legal issues? Liability clause. The telemedicine market in India is expected to grow at a CAGR of 31%. Oh my, so you can see this is like one of the fastest growing things, 31%, and reach $5.5 billion. So $5.5 billion is a lot of huge market. 15 to 20% of healthcare ecosystem is expected to shift to virtual care across triaging, consults, remote monitoring, and home health. Virtual care consists of teleconsult, telepathology, teleradiology, and e-pharmacy, and is experiencing an encouraging stimulus in India due to the pandemic. This stimulus had the potential to make teleconsultation and e-pharmacy account for around 95% of the telemedicine market by 2025, which amounts to $5.2 billion. Okay, India's e-pharmacy, and you must have noticed that e-pharmacy has really picked up. Amazon is investing in it. Reliance has bought Netmeds, and everyone is getting into e-pharmacy. So projected to reach 10 to 12% of the overall pharmaceutical sales in the next 5 years, driven by strong regulations, increased funding, and creation of digital infrastructure. Okay, then there is agri-tech. As per Ernst & Young report, agri-tech startups are operating in an attractive market with an estimated potential of $24 billion. So it is even bigger by 2025. Agri-tech players are transforming agriculture across all stages of value chain. For instance, players in market linkages, farm input segment are seamlessly blending technology with physical infrastructure to offer farm inputs at a greater price certainty. Precision agriculture and farm management players are helping farmers improve their yields, right? And this is so much needed given farmers have so much problem in India. Many of them commit suicide. So we really need technology to change how bad things are for Indian farmers. Quality management and traceability players are helping farmers realize better valuation by incentivizing high quality produce. Players operating in supply chain tech and output market linkages segment are eliminating inefficiencies such as high wastage of farm produce, which is a win-win for both farmers as well as consumers. Financial services players could serve 30% of farmers' households through access to credit and 65% of farmer households through access to crop insurance. So this is a huge game changer. Okay. Business models in agri-tech space could be trifurcated into margin-based models where players create margin linkages on input or output side and earn margins on the buy-sell spread. Subscription-based models where players offer a mix of software, hardware, and services to help farmers improve crop yields, track quality of produce, or trace the produce across value chain. Subscription-based models where players offer so this is already done. Transaction-based models where players charge based on number of transactions served, such as loans and insurance policies. Okay. So then we have solar energy. Solar energy in India is an annual $20 billion opportunity, and it's going to grow. It is actually replacing the entire, what do you call the petroleum industry in India. And we are using petrol and diesel, and it's going to get replaced with solar energy really rapidly, because the price of solar energy has fallen so much in the last few years. It is so much cheaper to produce that there is a huge economic incentive for shifting to solar energy. NTPC has entered the renewable energy space and intends to increase capacity 30x by 2032. Separately, on 11 November, the government greenlit a $2.4 billion production-linked incentive scheme for developing advanced battery tech in India to be paid out. So there will be a lot of Indian battery tech companies which will work on this to benefit from this incentive scheme to be paid out over the next 5 years. So you can imagine it's a huge tech space. Food tech industry is poised to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 25 to 30% to 8 billion by the end of 2022, according to a report by Google and BCG. Investment in the space has increased 35 times in the past 5 years. Okay, food tech startups such as Swiggy, Zomato have grown by 6 times in the last 2 years. Higher internet penetration, disposable income, expanding reach in more than 500 cities, and a huge network of restaurants are key drivers. Synthetic food is also another area, right? So where there's a lot of work going on. In the US right now, there are synthetic meat companies which are trying to create vegan and human meat in the laboratory where no animal is killed. And there is a huge market for such things because people are becoming more conscious and they don't want to kill animals for their food consumption, but they want the protein. So if they can get it from lab produced meat and it is as tasty, so then it is already very popular in the US. Gene editing, these are more futuristic stuff. Gene editing market size was valued at USD 3.8 billion in 2019. It is expected to witness a 15% CAGR in the next 6 years. Huge. Growing awareness regarding availability of genetically modified crops and animals will have a positive impact on the overall market revenue. Gene editing techniques can also be used to correct sickle cell anemia, a genetic blood disorder in human beings. Indian scientists have developed a new variant of the currently popular gene editing tool, which can increase precision in editing genome while avoiding unintended changes in DNA. Gene editing using this method, CRISPR-Cas9 has prompted a lively discussion around the world about how much one can interfere with the human genome. We are likely to see more work emerge around this. Nanotechnology, so that is another area. And you can imagine gene editing, there will be so much regulation around gene editing, how you can do, what you can do, what you cannot do, what you can do after taking permission of an ethics board and so on. There will be a lot of work around this. Nanotechnology. Nanotechnology finds applications in a gamut of industries such as medicine and healthcare. Environment, ICT is, it's a technology for education, energy, nano, EHS, right, and others. A key application of nanotechnology is found in electronics and semiconductor product segment, which is estimated to grow at a CAGR of 15% up to 2025 at least, right? Autonomous cars, you guys know that Tesla is really famous for this. Google and everyone is building autonomous cars at the moment, right? It's definitely a huge sector that is already here. It's like it sounds like something which is out of science fiction, but it is already here, right? The global autonomous vehicle market size is projected to be valued at 54 billion in 2019, and it's going to grow multiple times, 556 billion by 26, right? A CAGR of 40% through all these years. It's huge growth is waiting for this. US has been considering passing a self-drive act for autonomous vehicles, and it's a matter of time. All countries will do it. India will also need it. There were more than 50 companies in California with self-drive vehicle testing permits in 2018. Okay, another major thing, regulation of 5G and Internet of Things. This is already here. 5G is the foundation of realizing the full potential of IoT, Internet of Things, right? Ericsson's mobility report points out that there will be 550 million 5G subscriptions by 2022, and Asia Pacific will be the second fastest growing region with 10% of all subscriptions being 5G in 2022. So it's a huge promise, right? Unique combination of high-speed connectivity, very low latency, ubiquitous coverage, which will support smart vehicles, transport infrastructure, connected cars, trucks, buses, whereas split-second delay could mean the difference between a smooth flow of traffic and a four-way crash at an intersection, right? So you need really precise and high-quality internet. 5G will enable us to control more devices remotely in applications where real-time network performance is critical, such as remote control of heavy machinery in hazardous environments, thereby improving worker safety and even remote surgery. As per McKinsey, digital IoT space is stated to have a potential economic impact of USD 11 trillion by 2025. 11 trillion from USD 4 trillion right now. What do I have to learn if I want to work in regulation of emerging tech? So many of you must be thinking this, that all of this is great, but what do I have to learn, right? Compliance is big thing. Compliance changes all the time. Compliance is created by laws. Sometimes you have to deduce what law you need to comply with, and this is a big challenge for lawyers. And as technology become more mature, regulation becomes more mature, then it is more about doing the things right. For example, company law is there. Under company law, there are hundreds of different compliance that you have to do. So there is an entire new profession for that called company secretary, who's supposed to do all those compliances, right? Now, as new technologies emerge, like Payments and Settlements Act or any other new technology in any sector, telecom, whatever, whenever you have regulations, you have to comply with all of that. And by learning compliance, you definitely open up your doors for working in those roles. Regulatory interface. Now, even though you have regulation, from time to time you want to do something differently, or you want to do a new thing, you want to check, can I do this, can I not do this? You need to have an interface with the regulator all the time. And regulatory interface is a very important skill for good lawyers. Okay. Policy advocacy. The other side is that apart from having an interface with the regulator, you even have to advocate new policy to the right people in the right places. And this is also a very, very important work for tech companies and startups. So if you want to work for Google, if you want to work for Facebook, if you want to work for Uber, probably policy advocacy would be very important skill that you want to develop. So who can be my potential employers? If I want to work in regulation of emerging tech, who can be my potential employers? Law firms, definitely, because law firms are advising these companies, these tech companies all the time. So there are boutique law firms, there are big law firms. Now every law firm wants to have tech companies as their clients. So if you have good knowledge of this, you have a good handle on this, you can work for law firms for sure. Top tech companies. So all tech companies around the world, they need people who are good at regulation of emerging tech. So if you're good at it, there is a huge demand for you at fast growing technology companies, at technology startups. They're ready to pay you good money for help on this area. Fast growing startups in all of these sectors, any sectors that we discussed today, in all of these sectors, there are fast growing startups, funded startups. They have a lot of money. They're spending a lot of money on this technology. And for them, it is critical to get the law, the policy, the regulatory interface right, the compliance right. So they're ready to pay very good money to lawyers who can help them with that. Policy advocacy firms. So there are, just like there are law firms, there are firms which don't do anything other than just policy advocacy. Okay, and there are good examples of such. There is 𝗬𝗪 as an associate. 𝗬𝗪 associate. There is a policy firm. They just do policy advocacy. PLR Chambers is famous for doing policy advocacy, and there are many such other firms also. There are think tanks like BD Policy Center, and there are so many other think tanks which are basically coming up with this kind of research, proposals, white papers, many different things, and they are researching in their area. Some people are focusing on competition law, some people focusing on everything. There are think tanks which are working on these things, and if you're good at these things, you can easily find a job at a think tank also. Blogs and content marketing, because these kind of content everyone wants to read, and lawyers want to write, law firms want to write content around these areas and publish, because it gives them that kind of recognition. So definitely if your blogs are and websites and even newspapers would hire you, give you work for content marketing. Law firms will hire you if you're able to write about these things, or you're able to create any content for that matter on these areas. It's very, very promising. Can I get foreign paralegal work in these things? Absolutely. Foreign startups will hire you, will give you research, writing work, compliance work for these kind of things. Writing and research jobs, absolutely. You can easily get writing and research jobs in regulation of technology kind of area, policy research, tech policy research. There's a lot of work in that. Ghost writing, you can help other lawyers write these kind of articles, create such content, do such research for them, publish, and all of that. Okay. All right. So how many of you want to know where can you learn all these things? Of course, we are there. 𝗨𝗃 has courses where we teach you to do this work and a lot more, so that you can do this work in emerging technologies. Is there anybody amongst you who is already a student of our technology law course here? Anyone here? Maybe you can share what kind of things you have been learning. Anyone? No? Okay. You can do this work, independently or for technology law firms or as an in-house counsel of global technology law companies, right? Are you interested to learn more about this? Anybody here who want to learn more about this? Yes, no, maybe just write in the chat quickly. If you're interested to learn more about this, write yes in the chat, please. Tina is interested. Anyone else? Vaibhav, Akash, Parveen, Amina. Okay, great, super. So, I will arrange for you to get a counseling call by our team if you say yes in the chat. Okay. And yeah, Praveen is watching this on YouTube. So Praveen, you can also, I won't be able to get your email ID and phone numbers. You need to reach out to 𝗨𝗃 and request that Ramanuj has said that he'll arrange, I'm interested in technology law and regulation of emerging technology kind of work, and I want to get counseled, and it can be arranged. Okay, thank you, Anjan, very much for vouching for 𝗨𝗃. So another thing you can do, and I think I recommend, in fact, that you should do this, message Uzair on this number. Okay, you can write down this number, 84395 Just jot it down, and you can message Uzair, WhatsApp, SMS, whatever you like, and you can request for scheduling a counseling call on how you are going to work on these areas, right? So if you're interested in regulation of emerging technology, how can you prepare? You have any specific question, personal guidance you want, that can be arranged. I will also quickly run you through our technology law course that we have, right? So I'll open it for you. Here is the link. So as you can see, this is a government recognized course. It is recognized by Skill India program of Government of India through Management and Entrepreneurship and Professional Skill Council of NSDC, National Skill Development Corporation. Okay, so this course is called Diploma in Cyber Law, FinTech Regulations and Technology Contracts. The enrollment is open for 13 more days and then it will close. A new batch will start from 1st of February. So try to join by then. The price is here, it's mentioned 36,600. What else? You can go through this and you can go through the experience of people who have done this course, how they have benefited from it, right? I'll share the link with you guys quickly so you can go through it if you are interested. Okay. What else do I have in today's session? Couple more things I need to tell you quickly. Okay, so for all our 𝗨𝗃 courses, especially for this course, there's a money back guarantee. You can join the course after enrolling in it for 30 days, if you do all the sessions and do all the assignments, and if somehow you're not benefiting from the course, you can get 100% money refunded during a window of 30 to 45 days. You should definitely read the policy in writing. So it's like 𝗏𝗂𝗏com/refund-policy. So you can, or you can just Google refund policy 𝗏𝗂, and you will find it and read the relevant 𝗏𝗂 refund policy for this course. Then it will give you confidence about that. I can even quickly show you the refund policy, in fact, so it is easier for you to find. Okay, here's the refund policy, right? So this is the one that applies refund policy for executive certificate and diploma courses, because this is a diploma course in technology law. So you can check this out yourself, read it out for yourself, right? So going back to my presentation, where is it? Is there anything left? Okay, how do you actually learn from this course? So I need to tell you that also, right? So there are classes, we do one class every week, and you will get classes around the year. So throughout for 1 year, you will be attending classes, practical lessons. All the lessons are very practical in nature. Will teach you the actual work that you do at a law firm, in a company, but basically client work that lawyers actually do. Will give you such lessons only. It's not theoretical in nature. We don't focus on sections and case laws. We focus on the work you have to do as a lawyer. There are sections and case laws also might get touched upon where necessary, but that's not the focus. And how we primarily teach you, the focus is on weekly assignments. Every week we'll give you 2 assignments, like 2 work that an actual lawyer is supposed to do. That kind of work we'll give you, and you'll have to actually do it. Maybe it's a drafting a contract, or writing a notice, or reviewing a privacy policy, or coming up with a memo, maybe advisory memo. So you have to do all this work, and like a lawyer actually does, and you will get, of course, you're doing it for the first time, so you may struggle. We'll give you all the inputs that you need. We'll give you templates. But after that, whatever you come up with, you get feedback on it, one-on-one personal feedback on what you produce. If you draft a contract, you get a proper feedback on the clauses that you have drafted, what you have drafted well, what you have not drafted well, what could be better, where to improve. You get proper feedback so that you can improve every week from week. There are curated templates that you get used to, and you can use these things when you actually do the work, and you're learning around these things. You get a lot of mentors when you join. You access to 3-4 mentors, 4 mentors at least. You have the course anchor, who's an expert in that area of law, have done work with law firms or in the industry or in some in-house counsel team, or has been a litigator successfully doing that. Such a person who is there as a course anchor. There are evaluators. Your assignments are evaluated by evaluators, so they are there to guide you. The placement office will provide you with guidance. There will be placement mentor, writing coaches. So you write articles and publish, and there are writing coaches who are there to guide you for that, to write articles and publish. Hard copy study material you get access to. Will deliver it to your address by courier. You get coaching for article writing and publication. Batch closes on 30th January, last day for enrollment. And why it is better to enroll immediately is because if you enroll now, I don't want you to wait till 30th January because that's the last date. If you enroll now, then you can start studying, you can start going through the study material, you can go through exercises, previous classes, and you can hit the ground running. You get immediate access once you pay, get access to it, and start preparing, start studying. And when the batch finally starts on 1st February, you will be maximum prepared by then. Okay. Limited number of seats are there. Usually we don't take any more than 30 students in a batch, 20 to 30 students maximum. You can block your seat immediately. And if you need help, reach out to Uzair, he'll help you. And tomorrow we have a workshop. This is again on technology law, so that this might help you, right? So if you are very interested in technology law and you want to develop a career in technology law, we'll be guide you on how to do this. Okay. Dina is saying, I'm already taken up diploma in contract drafting. So Dina, you should talk to Uzair. We have to talk to you and see how busy you are already with your contract drafting, and if it is even needed for do one more extra course, or is it the right time, talk to user and figure it out. If needed, sure. Otherwise, don't do it. Okay. You have to see how much, if you are comfortable, you are able to manage time. There are people who have done 5 courses also at once, but they are able to do it. I don't recommend it, right? So we have to talk to you personally and figure out whether it will work for you. Maybe it will not work for you. For most people, it won't. So this is a link for tomorrow's workshop. It's a 3-hour workshop. There will be Aniket Agarwal, who is a senior associate with us, 𝗵𝗍𝗻 Agarwal, who is CEO and co-founder, and Sammanita, who's our placement office head. All of them will be there in tomorrow's workshop. You guys can meet them, interact with them, talk to them. So make sure and try to be there for that. Okay. So, all right. So 𝗏𝗡𝗂.com/technology-law-career. That is the link, 𝗏𝗡𝗂.com/technology-law-career. Anybody who doesn't have access to this link otherwise can find this. Okay. I'm very interested in technology law. How can I develop my career in? So how many of you are planning to come for this workshop tomorrow? Write yes in the chat, or write no if you're not coming. Anyone coming for tomorrow's workshop? Praveen is coming. Awesome. SK is coming. Dina will be there. Superb. Superb. Very good. Be there tomorrow. Technology law is truly a great opportunity these days. Okay, try to be there. It would be a really, I mean, I already have created the content, so I know what kind of stuff is being covered tomorrow. It's really, really exciting. You are going to love this. So make sure you're there. Take care, guys. Thank you very much for coming to my workshop. I'm going to sign off. Thank you for joining me today. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Maybe if there's any questions, please ask. I'll answer them in the chat. You can ask me any questions you have. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. There are no questions, it seems. But thank you. I was able to be of any assistant.